name is Kunbi Tamori, Creative Director of April by Kunbi, and this is Dang Masterclass. A lot of designers in Nigeria now don't know how to cut or sew. They have no. So if your tailor comes and tells you, "Madam, we can't do this thing," they can't do it. You can't tell them, "Oh, this is how you can do it." So, as much as you can employ people, you should also always. There are so many ways you can learn. YouTube. There's so many ways you can learn to do things. So you should always have. You should always have an idea of what you are trying to do. Like, yeah, you have to have an experience. They have to have a lot of patience. They have to have a lot of patience. They have to be hardworking. It is not easy. Every fashion designer that actually, even besides people that have tailors, any fashion designer that actually knows how to cut and sew themselves, you have to be very patient because sometimes some things just won't work out. And it's very easy to say, you know what, I'm not doing this. Let me do something else. It's very, very easy to want to give up because it gets very frustrating. But you definitely have to be hardworking. You have to be focused. You have to just know that it's not, you would get to where you're going on the long run. It's not something that you're going to just wake up one morning, I want to be a fashion designer and it'll blow up. Maybe for some people, maybe they're lucky, but it's not like that in the real world. So you have to be very focused. You have to be hardworking. You just have to know what you're doing. Three basic construction techniques would be draping, flat pattern making, and freehand. Flat pattern, that means you already have your pattern and you're just manipulating your pattern drafts into whatever you want to do. Draping gives you more of some creative flow because you can, drape on a mannequin, step back, look at it. If it's not working, redrape it. Or free pattern, which is what most people do here. They just cut as they go. Sketching is very important. In the past, when I didn't know how to do, when I didn't know how to do a lot of the detailing or cascade or to show a dress is a circle dress. If I drop from my tailors and they saw something, I'm like, that's not what that's not what I told you to make. And they're like, but madam is, they try to explain it because they can't see any folds, they can't see any seam. They will sew it as they're seeing it, except with the very experienced ones, they will know, okay, this is how to do it. But if you can't sketch and you can't say, okay, this is where I want my darts to be, this is where I want my seam to be, this is where I want the pocket to be, they're going to do anything for you. So you definitely have to have some knowledge of sketching. It doesn't have to be like a perfect model figure painting, but even when you're trying to if you're trying to scale up and you're trying to produce outside the country, it gets even harder because they need to see your flat pattern. They need to see where each seam is going to. Otherwise, it will, you get your product and you're just, wondering if the same product you send to them or the same sketch you send to them that they produce. So you have to have a good knowledge of sketching and detailing. I use pencils and markers. Basically, I don't use any apps. I use Adobe Photoshop sometimes, just to like clean up my sketches or, clean up the background. But I usually just do freehand sketching. I'm still learning. I'm not a perfect illustrator or anything. I'm still learning, but in school, they taught us the basics of sketching. Anyone that has been to any small illustration school or try to learn online, they will tell you, okay, to draw a figure like a model figure, draw 10 heads. Then the third, draw 10 circles, like egg-shaped circles, and the third is where the hand comes from. Just things like that. That you need to know to do. So I'm not perfect, but I always learn. I always if my hands, I still don't know how to draw legs. So most of the sketches you see them wearing long dresses. I still don't know how to, but I always try to learn. I always try to be better. I'm always on YouTube saying, how do you draw hands? And there are a lot of people there that will actually say, okay, this is how you draw hands. This is how you draw fingers. And I always practice. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to be better. Fabric for my design. I've been told I have a good eye for fabric. I love fabric. If I was not a designer, I'd probably be a fabric designer. And one of the things that I do in some of my designs, I actually use 4 or 5 fabrics in a design. If I don't get the look I want with one fabric that I bought, I will add other fabric elements. I will cut out some other fabrics just to get the look that I want. But my fabric choice, that for some fabrics I don't like working with. I don't like working with lycra. I don't like working with anything that is stretchy just because it's really, really hard to manage. And I mean, there are many fabrics and different ways to handle them. Chiffon, I never knew that chiffon had a different needle because you don't want it to snag when you're sewing. Leather has a different needle. So a lot of unfortunately, we don't have a lot of those the things that we use for sewing those things here. Maybe they do, I'm not sure, but I haven't come across it. But different elements, different fabrics, and actually, fabric inspires my design sometimes because when you see a fabric that has a lot of patterns that you can make work, they don't throw any of my pieces away because I can always use it to do something else. No matter how tiny that scrap is, I'll tell them to throw it away because it could be used to do sleeve for something. I'll always find a use for it. So fabric is definitely a very, very important part of my creative process, a very, very important part of my designs as well. There's so many times I've wasted fabric in the design process. If you've seen, there's a movie about Valentino. I think it was Valentino, and he had the seamstresses making different things, and they will look at it and they would step back and they will look at it and they'll step back and they will remove the sleeves. It's a creative process. If something that you thought about in your head and you're like, this design is going to be so nice, and then you do it and it doesn't look right, you have to edit it, take some things away or add some things to it. And if it doesn't work out at all, then you're going to, or maybe the fabric choice is bad. Let's say you wanted something that was figure hugging and you're using chiffon. Chiffon doesn't fit, it doesn't hold you really well. It starts to crinkle, it's not it doesn't have like a seamless flow as opposed to using maybe a stretchy crepe, for example. So in design processing, if you end up doing something like that, you're going to have to do it again in a fabric that works for the design that you have.